In previous lessons, we've talked about God. We've talked about how God works. We've talked about God's invitation. And we've also talked about ourselves and how to understand God's invitation to us isn't about becoming some kind of superheroes or, exhausting ourselves. But it's an invitation into living a really full life, becoming who we truly have been made to be. And in doing that, sharing God's love with those around us becomes part of this process of living, in which we're inviting other people to experience this kind of life as well. It's joyful, it's exciting. But the truth is, we live in a very busy time. There are demands on our time, there is demands on our energy, there's demands on all of us in so many directions that even with our best intentions, we can let things fall by the wayside. And that's why, as we come to the end of this great discussion on sharing God's love, we're entering now into really figuring out what does it mean to put this into action. Not idealizing, not say, oh, I would like to do this, but actually say, here, let's do this. Have you ever been in a situation where you're talking to an acquaintance and you say, oh, yeah, let's get coffee? And the other person says yes. And you might even want to. You might even say, oh, yes, that's a great idea. But you don't schedule anything. Well, what happens? You never end up meeting. And then the next time you see them, you say it again. Well, that often happens in our own lives, in our relationship to God and our relationship to others. If we're not specific about our commitments, the busyness of life and the demands on our time and energy just pull us aside. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about what it means to make an actual commitment. And this isn't one-sided. We start with the idea that God has already committed to us. God is committed to humanity. God has made what is called covenants. And these covenants aren't these moral, ethical, general things. He's actually committed to doing specific things in specific ways. And in doing that, he invites us to respond as part of this living, thriving relationship. So we're going to talk about what does it mean to make a commitment to God in light of the commitment that God has already made to you. This isn't a burden. This is an invitation and a delight, because in fulfilling this commitment, we experience a joy and understanding and an enlivening that is beyond what we can imagine. It's well worth doing, is what I'm saying. So join me as we talk about commitment.